I knew on Saturday, I had a bit of a line. I went out Friday night, I'm not going to lie. My phone rang about 8 hours. I woke up a bit after the game and I noticed I had a missed phone call from Scully. I thought, this can only mean one thing. They've lost! They've lost! And Great Britain, else in England, Great Britain lost, Scully. What the hell? We'll start off on Saturday. What the hell went wrong on Saturday? Why? You know, and again, it's not disrespect. You've played in a team that's lost in Papua New Guinea. You know how tough it is to go there. We've seen Wales and Ireland have gone there and been beaten. You know, they are no mugs on home soil, but to lose by that margin is not acceptable.
I agree totally, and I say, yeah, I know exactly what it is because you know I was, I was part of the first team that has ever lost to Papua New Guinea in a Test match from a Great Britain's point of view, and I've said before, and I'll say it again, it was my fault. I was absolutely garbage as the number 6. We got beat 20 points to 18, but to me, as a standoff, as my first test as a standoff from there, and we got beaten. We deserved to get beaten. It was my fault. I took it on the chin and took all the responsibility. But you looked at Saturday's performance. Let's take nothing away first from Papua New Guinea. You know, Papua New Guinea. You know what you're going to get with Papua New Guinea. They're going to be like missiles themselves in defence. Have no respect for the body. They're going to play for the full 80 minutes. From a creativity point of view, they make their own look. You know, at times you think, well, you know, that doesn't look quality. You look at the players, and no disrespect to the players who they're playing for in the likes of Doncaster, no disrespect to Doncaster, no disrespect to Featherstone, no disrespect to Barrow. But one thing what them players do is simple. From a quality and an international, they know what it's all about. They know what it's all about from there, and they will keep going for 80 minutes, whatever style of rugby they play. So that performance on Saturday, just simply not good enough, and it's not the top performance. And I'm going to come on to them all now. And so I might just
hold on. Let's hold you for. Let's talk about that performance then.
Yeah.
I've just said to Phil downstairs. It looked to me, having watched the game, it looked to me. I watched it back. Is it an unhappy squad?
Mark,
is it an unhappy team?
Right. I was just going to say to you then, when I was watching that performance, the first half, all right, we went 10-0 up from there, but still. It was boring rugby league, absolute boring.
Was it the most expansive they've played over the course of these 4
Well, fully, but that's a low bar to be drawing a line.
They were moving the ball a lot more than they had in the previous.
Why shouldn't they have done that in the previous games? But again, it was a boring again for the first 40 minutes. And you look at Josh Hodgson's try game from dummy half, all right, a little bit of a decent ball movement there to play costing. But then when you looked at that second half, and I'll come to that point where you just made there now, Mark, was when I'm looking at them players, and certainly, right, when I look at the quality of players, because listen, these players are quality players who are playing for Great Britain, right, and also wouldn't have been selected in the first place. So one of the questions is, why are they looking average players? Why? Because they're not average players, but why were they looking average players? And when you mentioned that about the enjoyment, I wasn't seeing any of them players with a smile on their face whatsoever. I looked at Walmsley, I looked at Thompson, and I looked at Josh Hodgson. Well, Josh Hodgson is the second best hooker in the world behind Cameron Smith. E for E, when he puts an international jersey on, is garbage. He's garbage. He doesn't play anywhere near us.
But is that because of how he's told to play?
Yeah, that is because he's how he's told to play. Jackson Hastings, how he's seen from there. Wayne Bennett has ruined Jackson Hastings at number 7. He's ruined Luke Gale as an international player, as we've proved from there. So there's only one person to blame at that. But you look at the enjoyment, and another thing. When I look at Jermaine McGilvray, do you know what that try, what he didn't get against New Zealand in the first test? If Jermaine McGilvray hadn't been used as a battering ram and made 132 minutes from there, he would have had enough energy from there to dive a little bit better and maybe get us a draw from there. So that again is another massive issue. The players are not being allowed to play how they want to play. And one thing for sure, I know myself, with being a club player, the form what you show at club level and the quality what you do from there makes you an international. But what you want to do then is transform that club form is to international form. He has totally taken everything away from our players by boring rugby league. And as I've said in my columns now for the last 4 weeks, the first one.
Hold on. The last 4.
Near enough. The last 4 weeks. Right, let's go. First one, clueless. Second one, boring. Third one, enough. And now in today's, it's the sack. Listen, we've all had enough. We've all absolutely had enough. And let me just say here, Mark, right? I'll do Kevin Sinfield's remake for him.
Well, hold on a second. I mean, let's.
One question about. Let's get Saturday's game out of the way first. How much of a blow was losing James Graham in the first tackle.
Mate, not all. James Graham, he's not a loose forward. He's had no impact whatsoever. No impact at all.
The impact that has on the rest of the bench to play 80 minutes when that hasn't been the plan.
Not really.
I mean, Alex Walmsley hasn't looked like the Alex Walmsley that's played all year for St Helens. Is that too many minutes at international level?
Well, it should be because they're all full time, aren't they? And from there, because there's only one player who's coming back off this tour, right, with any sort of reputation for me that is there. And do you know what? He didn't even play on Saturday. That's Darrell Clark. He didn't even play on Saturday. It's Darrell Clark, and how he was picking Hodgson above Clarkey. I just don't get it. I just do not. I just do not buy into it at all.
And I've said this again. I've said this to Phil. I mean, I've gone on social media. I think Bennett's yesterday's man. I think his time has been and gone.
Yeah,
he's been a great coach. No one's saying he hasn't.
Absolutely.
Probably was the best coach in the world. May still be.
Yeah.
Have been the best coach in the world. But we need. The comment when he first got the job, and he said, there's no good back rowers in England. That was pretty much his word. There's no good back row. We ain't got enough good back rowers. I think, actually, we've got quite a lot of decent back rowers. I'm sure if you actually coached them and, whatever, it would improve. And that said to me, wrong man for the job. The squad that he's picked, the wrong squad. Now, whether you're going down this England, and again, the RFL, have they gone for the cheap option by saying, Wayne, we'll bung you an extra 20 grand, will you just do this Great Britain thing for us while you're here? It's in your back garden, it don't matter.
And I think it's something that we said last week on here, that the whole identity of the Lions has not been thought through.
No, it hasn't.
Which isn't the coach's fault. The coach's remit is still to win the World Cup with England in 2021.
Yeah.
So he's used
So is that why we
remit.
should have had a new coach?
Yeah. If you're going to take... I think that there's two issues here. One is why they're playing so poorly.
Yeah.
And I defer to my good friend here because he's played. It's very hard for me to argue with anything he's saying because he's played at international.
Yeah, but I'm not being rude, Phil. Anyone in the world could see the squad when he picked it was the wrong squad. We all knew that. I think
the concept about bringing back the Lions has been really badly handled.
It has. It's been badly handled.
And for it to work, you've got to be putting money into Scotland, Wales and Ireland as entities in themselves to make the Lions
can I make
meaningful.
An observation? If the RFL want to make some money out of the Lions, which clearly is one of the reasons I think it was brought back, then you've got to invest some money to buy Scotland, Wales and Ireland. And that doesn't include making all the people redundant that are building the game up in those areas.
Exactly.
That is the biggest downfall. Now, it's been a bit Mike Bassett. Someone said, Bilko said to me, I'm surprised Benson and Edges won't play, because I said it's been written on the back of a fag packet, and that is how it's come across, sadly. It hasn't come across in the right manner.
I think when the squad was originally selected and everybody said it's unbalanced, the problem isn't that it's necessarily unbalanced, it's you're only taking 24 players for a month away in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
The likelihood is the injuries you're going to get are in the positions where you're not taking enough players. So you really should be taking 30.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's a cost-cutting measure.
I agree.
When we look at this Wayne Bennett scenario for the Great Britain, you know what Wayne Bennett should have done, right? If we are looking now for him as England coach, to be honest with you, he should be sacked anyway. He should be anywhere near our national side. It's as plain simple as that. He should be sacked after what's happened in the last 4 weeks. It's there, but let's just say from the Great Britain's point of view, they should have just said, Wayne Bennett, but he won't do anyway because he's a proud man, I guess. But Wayne Bennett should have said, no, I'm not interested in the Great Britain job. All I'm going to do, I'm going to take a back seat here, and as I'm doing, right, I'm going to plan. And I'm planning for England. All right, then, he'd have got away with that, right? When I look at it now, right, when you look at that coaching staff, what he had, we had Danny Ward and Ian Watson, two head coaches, two Super League head coaches who were doing a tremendous job, being totally disrespected on the sidelines, i.e. one being a water boy and one being a messenger on the bench, right? So why we couldn't have Watson and Danny Ward as the head coaches? Because when I look at the backup here, who were part of this international setup, from a point of view selection committee, right? Peacock, Sinfield, Schoolfour, Paul Anderson and Paul Wellens. Why could they not take a charge of Great Britain with Danny Ward and Ian Watson in charge? Because I can tell you now, the players would have appreciated and respected that because they would have got the selection right, they would have played players in the right positions, they would have got the best out of the players, and also as well, they would have played the style of play what the players would them players would have wanted to play.
So the next question is, if Great Britain as a brand still has value, when are they going to play again?
Well, when are they going to play again, and when are the teams that make up Great Britain going to play again? And that's the problem.
What do we want to get out of Great Britain when they do play again? Because we've seen a tour where clearly the Aussies didn't want to play, who in some ways have been justified because the crowds haven't been great.
But I'm not being rude, is that because England have played New Zealand however many million times in the last, because the calendar is rubbish. Yeah. I'm not being rude now. If you said to the public now, well, we're not playing New Zealand, we're going to play Tonga. Yeah. Or we're going to, Papua New Guinea are going to come and play, and we're going to give them a good hiding because they beat us when Great Britain went there, so we owe them one, and we're going to hammer them when they come here. And this is what I mean, and this is, people saying, oh, it's a strong Southern Hemisphere game, because the Southern Hemisphere, by hook or by crook, have wheedled it that they will have games, meaningful games, when players are available, and lo and behold, it's all available. If you say to Mickey Mouse, and I know Ireland went down the route they want to try and grow their own, I've no issue with that, but if you said to those lads that could play for Scotland or Ireland or Wales, there's going to be meaningful games every year, and at the end of the year, Papua New Guinea are coming or Tonga are coming, and we're going to play a proper game, more lads have put their hands up, and then they get St Helens. You're going to pick on them because we covered the games last year in the European Championship, and we know players were told they're not allowed to play. But that's disgusting. You can't do that.
World Cup qualifiers involving Scotland and Ireland at the same time as Great Britain. Because Scotland and Ireland need to feed into Great Britain. Yeah. They can't be playing at the same time.
No, and it's all right. And I get people say, oh, there's no players good enough. Well, there might not be. But even if you go on the real basics, right, Lachlan Coote is a Scotland international. Yeah. Whether he were born in Edinburgh or whatever, he is a Scotland international. Joe Philbin is an Irish international. There are more players that could have been selected. Regan Gray is the obvious one when we've got no bloody wingers, and it's like, wow, how is that not being picked? I mean, that is an open goal. Oh, here's our Welshman. And it's all right, he's saying he didn't want to be a token Welsh. He wouldn't have been. If he'd have been picked, he'd have been in on merit, wouldn't it?
That goes back again to, was it Great Britain or was it a trial for England?
Well, if it's a trial for England, then the RFL and Wayne Bennett have dropped an absolute bauble before we even started. And this is where you go on by... It's written on the back of a fact, oh, we need to get Great Britain, but what are we going to do? I don't know, just get them back, oh, we'll do it. It's just been really badly organised.
But also, the future is equally as unclear.
Well, that is the point. That is the point, isn't it? That's the worry now going forward.
I was thinking about this after. I tried to get hold of the man here to just vent how disappointed we were with the second half against PNG. That conceding a try right on half time, it just seemed to completely deflate them. First 38 minutes, they were all right. They were 10-0 up. They were in control. They'd moved the ball a bit more than they had in the previous games. And if they'd gone in at 10-0, you got the impression they were going to go on and win it. And they give away a try because they're trying to play conservative rugby, kicking for touch with 30 seconds to go before the end of the half, and got burnt for it. And then the beginning of the second half were just awful. But you think, well, what is the point of the Lions? Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. If we're going to have them, what we're going to do with them? Now, the days of the Lions necessarily going and playing Australia, playing New Zealand, might have gone. You know, the Lions in 2023, they could go to the Pacific. They could play in Tonga. They could play in Fiji. They could play in Samoa. They could play in PNG. Now, the guys you would pick for that tour... You could pick more Irishmen, Scotsmen and Welshmen because it doesn't have to be the total elite players. Great Britain then becomes a development tool. You do that in 2023, you announce it now. So you're saying to Ronan Michael, who's just been signed on for Huddersfield, who's come from an Irish club side, he's only been playing the game for 2.5 years, clearly has potential, there's talent out there that we need to mine. 2023, there's a very good chance you might be on a Lions tour. It doesn't matter that you're not in the top 24 players by then. There is a place for you on that tour. But we're also playing in the Pacific. So you won't be coming up against New Zealand, the leading nation in the world, or Australia. You then say, well, what we're going to do in 2027? Because if the Lions become a touring outfit every 4 years, and then you build in a system whereby England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales players are being selected over the previous 3 years, then you say, well, maybe we'll go to the Americas. Maybe we'll play Jamaica, Canada, America, possibly Chile if they've got Colombia. And what it becomes is an experience, a life experience, and a chance to give something into new areas. And the Lions then have meaning.
Well, can you imagine?
You know,
when
Tyrone McCarthy was one of the best players for Ireland in this World Cup qualifier. He wouldn't have looked out of place playing in a Great Britain shirt.
He played well in Super League.
But
He might have played for Wayne Bennett.
But you might not have played against New Zealand or Australia. It might have been going to play against America.
Yeah.
That he would have got.
And I get your point, because you imagine when Rugby Union went, we'll have the World Cup in Japan. And someone will have gone, you what? They don't even play rugby in Japan. No, we're going to go there. And what have Japan done? They've spent money, they've had big name players there. They've got it going, and they put on a good World Cup. They've got a good World Cup and competed in a World Cup.
I think, again, divorcing the performance, which is your sphere of knowledge and influence, to where do we go from here? I think there has to be a realisation that what's happened in the Southern Hemisphere has brought on nations like PNG. That was the best selection of players they've ever picked, because it had within it some NRL and some Super League players. But that's partly because PNG Hunters now play in the Queensland division.
Yeah.
Fiji, who beat PNG by 2 points the week before, have got more players playing in the NRL than ever before, but they're going to have a team in the New South Wales competition. New Zealand...
Well, does that... Well, all right then. So in that respect...
New Zealand, who now over 10 years...
Well, exactly, Phil, with that respect.
So
what should leave our Super League then?
But what are we doing in the Northern Hemisphere?
Well, do what you're saying then. We should have a Dublin or Ireland in League One or
we
a
need
Championship.
to think about exactly what it is we want from this sport. And one of the things that's emerged is that Wayne Bennett has said there wasn't enough preparation for this tour because we didn't have a mid-season international. Now, but we should have a mid-season international. They have, all these Pacific nations have improved by having
Well, this is something that we've mentioned before.
But
Do we need to replicate the exact format of NRL?
If we're serious about
and say,
improving
right, well, when you're doing your
international...
state of, and this is where maybe Australia have been, well, we'll play our state of origin while you trot around playing.
Well, but you can do that, that's fine.
But, yeah, do we then have 3 weekends where we can say...
Well, we're now being told, or we're hearing on the grapevine, that the RFL want a mid-season international this year, coming up, on the 21st of June.
Yeah.
There's already fixtures out.
Yeah.
How is that going to
work?
Well,
is the problem, I mean, is this another downside of the split? Because now you're going to get the RFL wanting things off Super League that Super League aren't prepared to give. So we go back a level before we go carry on with the in-depth breakdown of what's gone wrong. Do we have to have, as I said, we replicate the NRL? And does that mean we have to have 16 teams or whatever and do it as they do?
I
18
think
teams and do it as they do?
We have a domestic structure at the moment that mitigates against being successful at international level. So somebody needs to sit down and say, how many games do we want to play? How many international windows do we want? How important is it for every club that the international game is given the profile it deserves and we play enough matches to catch up with... At the moment, the new world rankings have come out and England have dropped to third. It won't be long before they drop behind Tonga because they're not playing enough games of quality. Now, you don't just suddenly decide, well, we'll play France away every year. You've got to say, well, how are we going to improve Scotland, Wales and Ireland? And it might be that for all this talk of Ottawa coming in League One, what we actually need is some significant investment in Ireland to find 13 more Ronan Michaels. And they're there. It's just, you might have to invest a couple of $100,000 in development
Rugby Union
and you might have
Ireland
to put a team
is
in
strong
League One.
because lads that play Rugby Union know they can earn a good living playing Rugby Union. If you offer them the same option in Rugby League, they might have some guys say, I'd rather play Rugby, and you would build it up. So again, it's not a structure. There is no structure in anything.
There is nothing in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment that is promoting international Rugby League. And that has been cruelly exposed by this tour, because I hadn't realised till we saw... So I think the thing about Tonga was, they beat us, that's fine. I honestly didn't think they could beat Australia the following week. The fact that they did, and they brought in 3 or 4 different NRL players who hadn't played in the first set, they're now getting some depth and real quality. PNG Fiji was a fantastic game last week, and then PNG took that form back to Port Moresby and beat an admittedly poor Great Britain, but they are improving. They are clearly improving. And from an international perspective, and the fact that we've got a World Cup here in 2021, that's good. We now have 3 or 4 teams that have a genuine case for saying they could be a team that makes the semi-final of the World Cup. That's great. But what are we doing in the Northern Hemisphere?
Cool.
If Sonny Bill plays for Samoa in the next World Cup, if he does, if he's good enough and he gets selected, they're going to get better.
Yeah. Exactly.
What are we doing? And all
Right.
this tour has done has exposed how far behind we're falling.